You're now listening to the hottest rap mix on Irregular Raps. So tune in and turn it up with your host, Strid.
What's going on? This is Strid on Irregular Raps podcast, and I'm bringing you the best of the best irregular rap music in the world. Why irregular? Why is it the best? Why is it so dope? Because, you know, we represent a great God. We represent the Savior. And we are peculiar people who's just bringing the truth, bringing positive music. You know what I mean? So that's what I like to do, represent and show you and tell you about the new music that I discovered, tell you about the music that you already know, tell you about the artists that you already know or don't know. And yeah, just to kind of recap on what I always say on my shows now, you know, if you got music, if you're undiscovered, even if you're discovered, feel free to send me your music at irregularraps@gmail.com. And I look forward to criticizing your music in a positive way. Not a negative way, but a positive way. It's funny, I'll talk about something later on about my previous show. But yeah, that's what it's all about. Also to just help the people out, help the rap artists out, you know, and to help the music scene. You know, I always feel like, actually, let me get into it right now. You know, last week I had a really good show with Jay Dunn. He was on my show. By the way, we talked about his album, Rose-Colored Glasses. Asked him about his album, what it meant to him. And he gave a lot of good jewels just about this album and around this album and how he feels about just people, how blind we could be. And that's what this album is in relationship to. But watch that show and you'll hear a lot of the jewels that he dropped. I can't repeat everything he said. But dude, man, you know, praise God for people like him, you know, humble people. The guy gives wisdom and knowledge, and he's pushing just like me and what I'm doing. And so, you know, one of the things we talked about, actually, I'll just say that one thing that this show encouraged me and made me realize that is that, you know, I don't realize how much I could be influencing people. Or even if it's just one person, you know, it doesn't have to be more than one person. Sometimes God wants us to just influence one person or two people or three people. You know, who knows and who cares, right? You know, I got to be humble and I got to really do what I got to do, what God has given me the plan, the purpose to do. You know what I mean? So, you know, he told me that the show influenced him and even his music, but it influenced him, and it also brought him in connection with another rap artist, BRM. And so, yeah, I didn't realize that. You know, I didn't think about that. You know, I knew these guys were tuned into my show, but now BRM is onto his record label, Raps Ready Productions. And also, man, his record label, Raps Ready Productions, has grown, you know, is growing. And God is using them. And God is using them as a leader. Like, being a leader is another thing that we kind of talked about. And he sees, you know, he told me personally that he sees the leader in me. And I appreciate that, Jay Dunn. But, you know, I can see the leader in him and also what he's doing. He's leading a team of people for his record label, a team of people who's helping him with the music. And that's great, man. We need more leaders. We need more lions in the world. You know what I mean? But we also just talked about, man, yeah, actually, let me go back a little bit. Don't be afraid to fail. You know, actually, that's just one thing that popped in my head. So don't be afraid to fail, but keep persevering. And no matter how hard it gets, keep doing what you're doing. Because for me, you know, I have a lot on my plate, of course. We all have, most of you guys, I'm sure, watching the show have a lot on your plate, whether it's music, and then you got this radio show, and then you got, you know, you're trying to do video for other people or photo, but try to figure out what it is that, you know, you should focus on. And you may have to minimize yourself. You may be doing too much and stuff that God doesn't really want you to do. You know, I know, you know, maybe even right now, I probably do other stuff that I'm not supposed to do. So I try to focus on what it is really that I'm supposed to do. And also, the more you stay in connection with God, relationship is key. The more you will hear and know and realize what he wants you to do. So it's not always about what you want to do. More importantly, it's about what God wants you to do, especially when it's about reaching out to people and That's what it's about, man. And so, he got a good team, man. Another thing that I found out was that BRM, who's a rap artist, I believe he's out of Chicago, I believe, and he's the only artist right now, who's not in the state of Baton Rouge, Louisville, and that's where all of the artists, Jay Dunn and the other artists, are living at. And I was surprised by that. I didn't think of it much, but I thought that they were probably from all over the place, which is, it's kind of common with record labels, but I didn't know that. Maybe there's certain Christian record labels where you got the artists most of them living in the same area. But I'm sure as it gets bigger, there'll be more artists branched out in different locations. And BRM, I actually talked to you about one of BRM's songs later, and about him as an artist and how I kind of see him as an artist and how he's progressed later on, because I do have a song I want to talk about later on. And he's producing a new album, by the way. So yeah, we just talked about just him, with Rapture Ready Productions, and just how, his encouragement to me was, people need this. People need to hear a show like this. And I really appreciate hearing that. It's letting me know that I'm not doing this for no reason. It's reminding me. I already knew that I wasn't doing this for no reason, but it's reminding me. And sometimes we just need to hear that. You never know what people need to hear, and I need to hear that. I didn't realize that maybe I need to hear that. It's funny. Like, sometimes you don't realize what you need to hear until you hear it. And, yeah, the reason why I said that is because, man, I lost my train of thought. Ain't that something? Anyway, that show is very encouraging, man. And I'll encourage you guys to watch that show. And I look forward to bringing another artist on, probably my next show. He's out of the DMV area. We got a lot to talk about. So hopefully that would be a really dope, good, jewel-dropping show. So next man I got on the list is actually, I want to talk about NF. He's an artist who's, becoming more popular, man. And he just created an Instagram video, a live Instagram video that a lot of fans didn't expect. He hasn't been on social media in a while, first of all. And when you see this video, this live video, some people would say he probably felt a little uncomfortable because he really doesn't go live on there, but he was opening up a lot. And I think one of the reasons, well, you'll see that his expression is happiness. He got married recently and I didn't even know that, but he was opening up to his fans. And it's good towards fans. For fans, this is what fans want. Fans want the artist to open up to them. If you're not opening up, then you're not going to connect with them as much, And now we're able to open up to them a lot with social media. These live stream feeds is everywhere. Like, first you couldn't get away from people pulling out their phones to show, to capture video and put it on YouTube. Now people are live streaming like constantly. It's crazy. And so, this is cool. He opened up, he told people about the new music that he's working on. And I'm sure that since he got married, we're going to hear something about that in his music, in his upcoming songs or song. And, if you haven't heard of NF, very talented lyrical dude. A lot of people say he sounds like Eminem, but that's how talented he is. Like, man, if you could say that you sound like somebody who's just as good or better than Eminem, then you must be doing, like, your skills must be top notch, because Eminem is very lyrical. Like, so with that said, he's a wordsmith. He's a lyrical genius with his words. Like, he knows how to connect them words together. A lot of people say his sound is dark, he's very emotional through his music. A lot of songs are epical. I will agree on most of that stuff. Like, he's lyrical in that way, and he draws you into the music because of that. And I don't know if his branding of the dark, white, black, image is going to change, but the dude is talented. Also, over the years, over time, people may have wondered if this dude was a Christian. I mean, he came out with a Christian song, I remember, with Flame, but he doesn't have like a Christianized sound. With that, what I mean is that he doesn't really talk about God a lot in his songs. That's not a bad thing. Is it a good thing? You know, I would say this, like, he's connecting to a lot of people. A lot of people. I mean, I would say he's connecting to a lot more because of the combination that he's very skilled with his lyrics. He's very skilled with his lyrics. And secondly, I could even say that he doesn't really bash you over the head about God. He doesn't, you know, talk a lot about God in a lot of his songs. A lot of his songs are positive. A lot of his songs are personal about his life. So, you know, the fact that, you know, I think if he brought God into a lot of his songs more, maybe he wouldn't have as many fans. But you never know. I mean, Lecrae has a lot of fans too. And Lecrae's style has changed as well. So I know I like to talk about this type of topic. I mean, before I've talked about how Christian artists or gospel artists will make songs with people who are, you know, we call them secular artists or secular rap artists, but those who usually use a lot of curse words and explicit messages in their music. How do people actually feel about that? And how are they reaching out to people through that connection? I mean, what is that actually doing? I still have a question. I don't even know the answer. I can't even like think about like how I feel, you know, is it good? Is it bad? So that's similar to, you know, NF not really bringing God into his music a lot. In a way, you get my point, right? Because it's not really similar, I wouldn't say, because he's not really, you know, he's not really connecting to anything that is so used to being like negative, you know. But his music is not bad. It's always good. It's always positive, but he's not giving you a lot of negative, explicit messages. He's not cursing, anything like that. And so, you know, you get what I'm saying, though. So maybe I'll drop that on my social media page and ask the question and see what type of answers I get, because I'm curious. I'm curious to see what your answers are. And, you know, I wonder, you know. So, yeah, man. People who are used to hearing my show, you know, you used to see a live format. Talk about live, right? NF going live stream. Maybe I should just start doing my live feeds again through Irregular Raps. You know, it's a lot of work, you know, but maybe I should do that to connect to my fans. Maybe I just spoke a word of encouragement to my own self. Yeah, maybe I'll do that one day. All right, man, so we're going to go to the first song by BRM, actually. I talked about him earlier, and you hear it right now. You ain't gonna hear the whole thing, but get the idea of the sound. This dude has a unique, distinctive voice, so you get to hear that a little bit right now. All right.
I'm optimistic. I reach you with lyrics. I hope you're not missing it. When I start writing, endorphins releasing my body, morphing inside of me, not gonna hide it. I just feel like I'm the king of the jungle. I roll like a lion. This music can run through my veins and get hype. I'm not the type to sit back and just watch, taking the beat over, not playing.
All right, man. So that was BRM, man. Track, you know, his name Ventin, VENTIN. I'm sure that's short for venting. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But that, to me, is a very cool song. This kind of reminds me of Eminem and NF. I mean, the aggressive tone, very, you know, he's venting, obviously. Venting in a good way. And he's letting a lot out. And the sound is a dark instrumental. I say dark. When I say dark, I'm not saying evil. I'm saying it has the mood of it. You know, it's kind of like a dark contrast. That's what I'm saying. But I like the instrumental. The fact whoever created the beat did a good job. I think, you know, I really like how it inclined and became louder and more epical and melodious, sort of say. And I really like, you know, like I said before, his voice is very unique, distinctive. The cadence is steady. It's not really shifting a lot. You know, maybe he could have did that differently. But there's some really cool sound effects I like some Transformer dungeon type of sound effects that I thought was cool. And he even used his vocals as sound effects at times for the ad-libs. So I really like that. And what he's just talking about, his personal life, was cool. This whole song draws you in. Like, it drew me in. And it caused me to really think about, like, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, the first thing I thought about was a dark alley. And maybe that's because of the instrumental. I mean, you are listening to a dark instrumental. But I think that's like the first image that popped in my head. But this is one of them songs that I feel like you listen to it, you realize that, you know, when you hear a song like this, you realize that music causes you to imagine things. It causes you to actually imagine what that person is going through or how you see it. And that's what music videos for, right? Like, I'm sure when the artist, like even me, after I'm going to just tell you from giving an example of me. I got a song called Cruising. Smooth, laid back song. So I'm listening to it and I'm imagining a lot of images. And then I start to imagine, how would the music video look like? I mean, one of the first images that pop in my head is just me in like a cool car, like old school car. You know, I don't know if it's convertible, but old school car. And I'm cruising like everywhere and it's sunny. That's what I'm talking about, like for real. And I'm sure the artists, they have the same concept, and I'm sure when they hear the music, especially if it sounds like a hit or a single, I'm sure they're thinking to themselves, man, I need to make a music video of this, man. This joint's so hot. So I usually think about that whenever I create a dope song that sounds like a single or a hot song to me. And this, like, I just saw an Ollie for this song, you know. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know. Hey, it's not a bad thing for the song, but, you know. But that's where I saw this song. I would say the other thing, you know, you don't get to hear the whole song, but, you know, the other thing I would say about this song, if BRM is listening, maybe 5 to 10 or maybe 3% of the words, you would, you know, be more clarified, more clarity in some of the things that said, because I couldn't hear some of the terms, and I had to play it again to actually hear certain words. And, you know, the emotion is there. The aggressive tone is there. Sometimes it's like when you hear a person with a heavy accent, and so they say a certain word, you can't really understand what they're saying because that accent gets in the way. It's kind of what I felt on certain words of this song. So overall, really good sound, man. This is actually a new song that's going to be on his new album. And yeah, man, looking forward to bring BRM on the show to talk about this new album and song. Curious to hear his concept of writing, even his concept of writing, and even the concept of this whole song and his personal life. It's cool to hear about that stuff. And it's actually cool to hear the testimony of, you know, what the person was thinking, what he was going through. I got a lot of that from Jay Dunn, his testimony, and that tend to always happens. You know, it's good to hear testimonies because it encourages people. And like, you know, with Jay Dunn's conversation, it encouraged me, definitely. And BRM, you know, I'm sure he has a lot to say and a lot of encouraging things to say that will probably influence me just as much. Like, I think on each show that I do, I'm probably going to be influenced in a new way. Like, for real, influenced in a way that I never knew that, you know, maybe I was doing or how I was influencing other people. So yeah, venting, you know, I mean, this type of song makes me think of how rap artists like to vent over tracks, for real. And, you know, we like to either make songs that are humorous, witty, intellectual, down to earth, you know, and we like to express our songs. Like, rap music is definitely a tool to express yourself. So fire song right here. Let's just go on to this next topic, man. Y'all know I like to watch battle raps, and this battle rap was actually was a battle rap between Loso and Chef Trez. This battle rap was fun to watch, for real. If you don't know who Loso is, check him out. Like, even his past battle raps, you know. So let me just show y'all a little clip.
Press, probably because you ain't never cook in a literal sense. I'm talking biblical text. 5 loaves, 2 fish. My guy's the original chef. And you, typical. Yes, every battle, you let the matic pop. And y'all be letting that trash fly like Static Shock. No wonder you took a drastic drop. Don't even have half the... No wonder you took a drastic drop. Don't even have half the stock of your Captain Rock. All of New York knew what time it was. Once I got the call, I made everybody from the Apple watch. Wait.
So yeah, Yeah. Loso, dude, talented. Like, you got to be on a whole nother level when it comes to battle rap. A lot of times, even just off your head, rebuttaling. Y'all know what it is, battle rappers. If you're a battle rapper watching, it's a different ball game, and Loso, Christian, just like the other three guys on the Four Horsemen, which is a group they put together. And the other three guys, by the way, you got the Saga, Helms, and A-Ward, and they all support each other. And I like the fact that they're in a group now. It shows unity. To me, it's like an example of how we should be as the body of Christ. Unifying. Even through different churches, we're still a body in this world, right? And yeah, so this battle rap, what I really like about it, it was very, shall I say competitive? Is that always a good thing to say? Sometimes I feel like competitive shouldn't be the right term. But I'll just say this. Both dudes went at it, like back and forth. And they both got different styles. I think whoever Loso faces, his style is always going to be different. Because I don't think there's anybody who raps like him when it comes to battle rap. Like, his style is very fluent, consistent. It's like he's constantly coming at you. He'll take a pause, but he's constantly coming at you. And his punchlines are more constant. And I think that's what people actually like by him when he's battle rapping other people. So, and this, nothing changed when he battle rapped Chef Trez. And don't get me wrong, I do respect Chef Trez style, and I do respect what he was saying. Not what he was saying, but how skillful he is. Don't get me wrong also, man, because I don't support what he's saying, like everything he's saying, because he's actually saying stuff that's against Christianity, against God, against even the Four Horsemen. And, he's swearing a lot, all that stuff. But I still respect him as a battle rapper, and I respect even the other artists who aren't saved. But, yeah. Even more heavier topic that I actually want to get into is, this battle rap, when you watch it, you'll realize, this is my opinion, actually. I don't know how other people feel and how other like-minded people feel, but to me, this was not just a battle between the two guys trying to tear each other apart, but this is serious. Like, it's a spiritual warfare, as we know, for them, especially like going into this arena. And this was actually by URL, but we know it's a spiritual warfare. But the thing is, it's more of a spiritual warfare because just about every battle that these people face, they're going to come against God. They're going to go against God, or they're going to go against what they represent in the Bible, whatever it is, they're going to go against them. And of course, they're going to try to throw them off with that stuff. And that's the whole objective and the idea. But with that said, you got, people, when they do that, they're influencing other people, tell you the truth. They're influencing them by causing them to believe in what they're saying is really true. I'll give you a good example. I believe Chef Trez said something like this. He said that the Four Horsemen, they're in it to take the money. They're in it for the money and to take money like churches do when they take tithes. Now, that's a topic that many people can relate to. A lot of people think that churches are just trying to take your money, especially when they tithe. So that's a heavy statement because that's going against a lot of saved people, churches, there's maybe a lot of churches that are corrupted, but you do have people who are in it for the relationship. So I just want to say this to clarify things, man. I always more heavily than anything, believe that it's more about the relationship than religion. So sometimes when we use Christianity as terms, I would sometimes wish that it would be just a term that's different, but that's just me. But it expresses who we are, right? So I gotta go along with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you get what I'm saying, though, man, because it's real. And, Loso did a really good job, even to rebuttal against some of the things he said. But he did a really good job to actually throw a lot of theological terms in his battle rap. I was a little surprised. I didn't think he would have a lot of theological terms. And the thing is, what I'm more surprised about is people like watching in the audience. You can tell, like, they're like, oh, like when they're saying that and he's still throwing theological terms, it's a little surprising to me because you really don't expect it. But that's how skillful he is in battle rap, like, and the other guys too. When you can get the crowd to really like, be up like that, I'm like, wow. So yeah. Loso, he did a good job. He stayed composed. Like, you really gotta stay composed in these battle raps. And yeah. So I always respect battle rappers. Some of the questions that, I would have, that I'm sure a lot of people watching battle rap, I'm sure have when they watch Christians battle rap. I'm sure a lot of Christians have these questions. I'm sure a lot of Christians even disagree to some of the things that, battle rappers like Loso, A-Ward, and Saga say. But is, okay, so this is more of a general question, but how creative do you have to really be, like, to be a Christian battle rapper? How creative do you really have to be? Number two, how important is it for them to stay composed and humble? I would say really important. And to number one, I would think you have to be even more creative because, I always even think like people who curse, they can just make up stuff like sentence lines with curse words. I ain't gonna curse, but they can make up a whole scenario, a whole story with a curse word. You know what I mean? So number three, I would say, is it okay for them to bring gun bars into the battle rap scene? Because they do, but they always turn it around to make you feel like it's about to be a straight up gun bar, violent shot, headshot, whatever they be saying. But they always turn it around somehow to bring God into the equation. So I like how they do that because, sometimes it feels like, well, why they say that? And then they come with another line after that. And it's like, oh, I like how he put that together with the gun bar, like God to the gun bar line. That's crazy, or a violent, fight, punch line. So I wonder sometimes how people actually feel. I'm sure people watching, especially if you don't understand battle rap, I'm sure people will disagree with what they're, saying at times when they say these things. So, like I said, you got to respect these guys. And last 2 shows ago, I said that I think 2 of them are amongst the top 10 in the rankings of the elite battle rappers. So that's crazy, right? And I think the other 2 are definitely up there in ranks. But the whole team to be doing that good and for them to really represent God, that's huge. And we need more of that, like, especially in the industry. It's part of the music industry, right? It's not necessarily music, but it's a dark scene. Like, it's a dark industry that we're in. So, yeah, I'm sure these guys, staying prayed up. We got to pray for them for real. And, yeah, man. So let's go to another song, another track. You hear it right now. All I Need by Saze Murray. Let's get it.
Staggering, standing right, your presence, no fronting God, no bragging, I need you. Line at the bottom, but bottom line, I need you. Line at the bottom, but bottom line, I need you.
Yeah, so this is All I Need by Saze Murray. I'm just going to quickly just, tell you how I feel, man. I really like the space that this fills up. I mean, when you listen to the songs in the headphones, you appreciate it more. And, you got the rock, guitar, strings, and the bells. That all makes it sound cool and relaxed. It's like a chill hip-hop song. All I need, all I need is you. Everybody can relate to this song, especially when you're down. You need God, especially when you feel like you're in the slumps of things, when you're in pain, whatever you're going through. That's when, most people really feel like they really need God, and you go to God more anyway. So hope this song really blesses people what you heard so far, because you didn't hear the whole thing. But yeah, one thing I would have done towards the end of the track, he's saying all I need repetitively. that's really cool. I would have done something different, but I mean, this is probably just good enough. Raw feel, the emotion, the raw emotion is probably what he really wanted to bring out. For me, to make it blend in well with the overall music, I probably would have put like a little distortion or flange on it or something. And that's just because of the rest of the songs. Like, when you hear this part, it throws the song off to me a little bit because everything else sounds together. This is the only element that didn't sound together. But once again, maybe that's what he was going for. All right, man. So 2019 Legacy Conference is on its way, soon to come to a state near you. In Houston, LA, Atlanta, Georgia, and Chicago. So what I like about this is that you have rap artists who are teaching, and you have like Cannon, Tadashi, Derek Minor, Jackie Hill Perry, The Truth, Shaolin, and many more teaching at each location. So look it up. I wish that actually there was, I don't know if there's a video ad for this, but I wish that they would create something like an advertisement. And I think they have a website, but if I'm sure, I might have went to the website. I didn't see much information. In general, I wish there was more information about this because it's cool, and I think young people need to know. Like, young people nowadays, definitely, you know, the rap platform is a huge platform that these guys are on. And to hear people like Cannon, you know, Tadashi, and I think Lecrae maybe, but Derek Minor, Jackie Hill Perry, these guys, they're really great artists, man. And for young people, you know, they look up to these guys, like I said, because of the big platform. And there's just distractions, man, in the world now. I'm just going to be real. Got iPhones, iPads, Androids, all this going on. And I wonder, how in the world is the world going to look? It's going to be in 10, 20, 30 years if it goes on that long. 40 years, 50. It's going to be crazy. Ridiculously distracting. Who knows how it's going to be? Maybe the temptation is not going to change. You know, our flesh is still going to be here. You know, I don't want to get into all of that right now, but you got to think about these things sometimes. And, you know, you think about the younger generation coming up. That's why we're needed. And maybe that's why this show is needed, huh? Who knows what... Let me not get into that. But anyway, yeah, man, look out for the Legacy Conference coming to a state near you. All right, so I talked about J Dunn. I think I talked about the jewels that he dropped on my last show. And this song, man, you hearing it, is a song that's on his new album, Rose Colored Glasses. I really like the cover. It's cool. Animated type of cover. And I like what he actually said about the glasses and how it's like a veil, you know, blocking, you know, eyes of people. And the background, like I said, on my previous show, if you were to listen to it. So that means you got to listen to it. You got to listen to it now because I'm talking about the album. So go listen to it. But yeah, I like what he said in there, man. And, you know, we're going to go to the song in a minute. But one thing I actually want to really focus on is what makes a song a good song as far as like the hook and chorus go. The hook is such an important element, man. I mean, you'll hear it in this song. But the hook, especially nowadays, like I feel like when you listen to trap music, and what they call mumble rap, and I haven't heard too much about like mumble rap music now. Maybe I'm not tuned into what's going on, but the hook is like the main part. It seems like most rappers focus on. The hook be so hot nowadays. That's all like I would want to listen to. It's like the main piece. It's like the big chunk of the music, and so that's why it's important to have a really good hook. And I have 5 tips I want to give you. Maybe I'll give it to you afterwards. So here we go, J Dunn, and the name of this song is We the Light. It's the second to last song I believe that's on this album.
And he right, yeah, it's understood, yeah, so we good, yeah, we the light, yeah, and he right, yeah. I should. Oh God, don't done for me. Wouldn't do me no good. Yeah. He saved me blind, forgave me.
So there you go, man. We the Light by J Dunn. Cool song right there, man. It's a happy song. Happy, happy, happy. What makes this song happy? I really like the melodies of the instrumental piece. And so going to the chorus, you can hear how well developed the chorus is. It causes you to remember, but it causes you to remember the hook. So what causes you to remember this hook though? I mean, when you hear hooks, what do you think about? You listen to all the really good trap music, you hear something in common, and I'm going to talk about it right now. You don't really hear all the elements that I'm about to talk about in this music, as far as the hook go. But tip number one, and I gave these tips before, so if you paying attention, man, you probably don't even want to listen to me because you like, what do I know? But I'm going to give it to you anyway. So you got to have a catchy chorus or a catchy hook. And I believe that all the other tips following is going to relate to this. And then the next one is going to relate to this. And then the next one after that is going to relate to that. That's actually when I was writing this, I was like, well, they kind of relate to each other. So one, have a catchy chorus. Two, you'll want your chorus to be simple. Yeah, simple. Simple is always best. You don't hear too many big words. So number three, you want your chorus to be easy to remember. So you can see how they're kind of connected to each other. What makes it a catchy chorus is you want it to be simple. And then how does it become simple? You want your chorus to be easy to remember. And then after that, number four, most of the time you'll want less words and verbiages. So if it's easier, it's going to have less words and verbiages. Also, less words and verbiages kind of connects to simple. Yeah. So less words and verbiages. So most of the time when you hear a hook, you'll hear maybe like 8 to 10 words on average. And so number five, repetition is key. Repetition equates more to the catchiness part of the chorus. And repetition, you want the hook. A lot of times you want the hook to repeat itself. Now, this doesn't always have to happen. And like I said, like the chorus on this song really didn't do all of the elements that I just talked about. Like what made this song actually, and actually I'm going to add number 6 right now for you. The chorus was melodiously, is that even a word? Repetitive. Melodiously repetitive. Like the harmonies were repetitive. The melodies were repetitive. So that caused you to remember the sound the way it sounded instead of remembering the words they were saying. And I noticed that even with music, if it has a certain formula where people can remember it, sometimes it's because of that repetitive, either the repetitive words that they were saying or the melody. And sometimes the instrumental just be so hot you can't but help but remember it. It's something crazy about that crazy instrumental. So, and instrumentals is a whole nother story, because with hip hop, like some people just remember the soundtrack because it just hits you in the face with the kick, snare, and 808. This one had a happy element, and I think you'll remember this because it had a happy feel. First of all, the instrumental was melodious, and even the instrumental chorus was repetitive with its melody, and it just felt good, sounded good. So those are my tips, man. So take it with you or leave it. You know, I don't care. Do what you want to do. But those are my tips. Yeah, I didn't want to really go into a teaching program with all of those tips. Maybe I'll do that more with another show. Actually, that's a question I have. Like, how many of you would want me to kind of bring more of a teaching element in my show about rap music? I'm always learning, but I'm sure there's some things that I can teach. But, I'm more experienced and knowledgeable about the producing side, I would say. I'm very knowledgeable about the rap side, but rap music is actually something that, it's not really taught a lot. You actually hear and see more and more people on YouTube teaching more about rap. which is really good because it's not really out there like singing is. And actually, that is what I wanted to talk about earlier when I forgot I wanted to talk about was, you know, what me and Jay Dunn talked about was actually maybe there needs to be rap schools, you know, of how, and for the Christian side of how you teach people how to incorporate God into your music, into your life, and group it all together, and even just bring a worship out through music, like rap music. Is that possible? Even what I said before when I was talking to him was bringing power and authority out through rap music. I don't think a lot of people think that way, but I think that way because I think it's powerful. I think there's a lot of missing pieces that God will want us to do with this tool, this rap music tool. Yeah. And that's what the relationship with God is all about. You know, he'll open things up for us. And, you know, when you think about it, you have now, I don't know if y'all notice, I don't know if y'all know, but we have more like worship schools that's online. I think of Bethel, they have their school, and you have more people teaching about just like more spiritual stuff, like the fruits of the spirit, not the fruits, but the gifts of the spirit. So why can't there be things like this? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So that's what it is, man. I got one more track to play to y'all, man. And the name of this next one is My Love by Whole Heart of a Lion. He's actually an artist that I'm working with. He's definitely going to be on the show. But let me let y'all hear a snippet that you're hearing right now.
Here put on a landmine. Wide side dosey do it. Can't trip, let me spit like an ill poet. Been equipped with the lift for the ongoings. Put it in your system with the holy knowings. I would love that, love that, love that. I would love that, love that, love that.
Yeah, that was My Love by Whole Heart of a Lion from the DMV area. Long story short, man, I discovered this dude. Actually, he found me. I didn't discover him. He found me. Actually, he told me his wife found my ad on Craigslist because, you know, I was looking for an artist. And I still am for what I'm doing in ministry. That's called Rise and Reign. So in the future, you may hear more about Rise and Reign. And it's been a blessing ever since, man. He's a good dude, man. He got a lot of wisdom. And this song shows, you know, that he has a lot to say. You know, I'm actually using a sample, as you can hear, on this track. And I'm sure you don't even know where the sample's coming from. But it's coming from one of Luther Vandross' songs. I can't remember the name of the song. But it's one of his very popular old school songs. And the song is actually more up-tempo than how this track and how the sample is in this track. But actually, when you can hear what he's saying from the intro of the track, you'll be like, okay, now I know what he got that sample from. But actually, this is a mixtape he's putting out. The name of the mixtape is Tape Before the Deck. And the reason why he's calling it Tape Before the Deck is because most of these samples come back like from the old school era, 80s and 90s. Yeah, you got a lot of R&B that came out in the 90s that just felt good, sounded good. Can we bring that music back, man? You know, it's funny. I notice electronic artists will bring it back more, and that might be because a lot of EDM artists are from overseas, in Europe, European artists, or from the UK, and they like our old school a lot more. I don't know if they appreciate it more than we do. Maybe because a lot of the youngins here don't really appreciate. I'm saying youngins like I'm not young, but you know I'm getting up in age. But it's cool to hear the old school vibe sampled, or the elements from old school music from like the 80s, 90s brought up in EDM music. Like I even think of Daft Punk. They like to bring a lot of old school synths or elements and make it sound really cool. And yeah, they even like old school hip hop more than we do probably. Like, you know, and I don't know how well caught up they are now, but, you know, they hear some of our music later on than we, you know, of course, because we hear the music first. So going back to this mixtape, Tape Before the Deck, he's going to have side A and then he's going to have side B. And so you think of a cassette tape, that's the whole idea. You know, cassette tapes had side A and it had side B. So he's going to have 6 tracks on side A, 6 tracks on side B. And I believe this song, I think it's on side A. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's the whole concept in summary. And I'll let him explain more about this whole mixtape. You know. I like the trap feel on this, man. You know, I'm trying to get more away from my trap sounds of production. I've been making a lot of trap sound, a lot of 808s. But I understand, actually, especially when rappers, they mature more in their music. You think of like Jay-Z. I know like Andy Mineo, he wanted to make something different. Like, I understand, because I don't know, maybe some people get tired of making the same thing or the same type of sound, but you want to show people that you're more versatile, either as a rapper or a producer, or, you know, you just want to just get away from that stuff because you're tired of it. And sometimes I feel like I'm tired of making this type of hip hop, having this type of hip hop sound, but some people can just keep making it. Actually, I can keep making it, but I just want to make something different because I know there's more in me, put it that way. And I know there's a lot of other sounds that needs to come out of me, that needs to come out of my heart as the Holy Spirit flows out of me. So yeah, man, this is the wrap up of my show, man. You know, I think I'm going to have somebody interviewed on my next show. Not sure who yet, but stay tuned for that, man. Killing it like always. And don't be too distracted by the world, you know. Stay up in God. And I look forward to hearing your inputs, artists, rappers. If you got music, don't forget to send it to me at irregularraps@gmail.com. And soon, but being constructed, but soon is on its way, is my website. Working on it, you know, so you get to see all of my shows. So yeah, man, the journey is taking a roll, step by step, day by day, month by month. It will get to the year by year, but I want to take it slow right now. So stay tuned, be blessed, flow in God's love. Till next time, all right?